What's up everybody, back with some more PTR raid testing, and today we're taking a look at Mythic Painsmith Raznal in the new raid Sanctum of Domination. Keep in mind this is not a guide on how to do the fight, and I will mostly focus on the Mythic part of this encounter. What's new on Mythic, how and if it changes the overall approach to the fight, and my thoughts on the overall encounter. Now if you want to see more of the overall mechanics, you can check out my heroic video of this fight from the PTR. Now with that said, what's new for the Forger of Pain on Mythic? Apart from the usual numerical tuning, everything slapping harder, having more health, you now have to deal with Echoes of Pain in phase 1 and Shadowsteel Ember's final scream during the intermission. And on top of this, the tank smack has been reworked slightly, not really a Mythic mechanic, but it's been reworked to make more sense when combined with the Echoes of Pain in phase 1. So what is Echoes of Pain? The impact of his tank smack causes players affected by Shadowsteel chains to erupt with spikes in 4 directions. So on Mythic you'll have 3 players targeted by the chains, and Shadowsteel chains is the 4-yard aura or chains that these players get that knocks away and deals damage to anyone who gets within 4 yards of that player. So whenever the boss does the tank smack, each chained player will fire off spikes as well in 4 lines, like a plus sign if you will. Sounds easy enough. So how does this impact the fight? Well, for the phase 1 tank smacks, 3 lines around the platform will spawn from the impact position. Then you add in 3 additional lines from all the chained players and space becomes a real issue. On top of this, you have to position both the tank smack as well as the chained player in such a way that they do not hit each other, and so there's safe space for the raid. So courtesy of my wonderful viewers and raid testers from the Stankie Discord, they came up with this. Now using the tiles around the room, we had the tank in the corner on the furthest away tile, and 2 tiles ahead in a diagonal we had 1 chain, then the 2 other chains each 1 tile ahead of the next one, making it so that neither the tank spikes nor their spikes hits each other, while keeping the boss in the safe square you'll have somewhat in the center of the room. Now there's numerous things that complicates this as the fight progresses. For one, there's the spiky balls. Depending on where they spawn, you might have to relocate all the chain players to a different corner and move the tank smack on the fly, while having the entire raid kinda hug one of the spike balls so you don't get spiked by the tank smack, but at the same time make sure you don't get spiked by the balls. And on top of that, there's traps. And if you remember from heroic testing, if spikes hit the traps, they detonate, and having more than 1, perhaps 2 go off at the same time is very bad. So you also have to position all the traps in such a way that the spikes from chains and tank smack doesn't hit them when you don't want it to. And on top of this, after every intermission, the pattern for the tank smack spikes changes. Chains stay the same, tank smack pattern changes. So second tank smack pattern will ripple outwards from the location, I assume like they did on heroic, and the third will be a combination of first and second, so 4 line and ripples out. Meaning you might have to change location for chains as well as where you place traps. Raid might have to actually move during the tank smack to avoid everything. So one additional mechanic in phase 1 that completely changes your approach to it, but also made it so much more fun, as well as made my brain hurt a bit. Now for the intermission, we have the final scream that the Shadowsteel Embers do during the intermission. Extinguishes themselves, which inflicts lethal damage to all players. Pretty much if you don't kill them in time before getting full energy, they'll detonate and kill the raid, giving you some sense of urgency dealing with the ads during the intermission instead of stacking them up on boss after, which we did on heroic. Very hectic fight, lots of movement, lots of coordination, and tight DPS checks with the spiky balls, and push timings for intermission. Although once you have all the patterns figured out, it's kinda scripted as far as the spike pattern goes. The only real RNG, if you will, to it is during the balls, as you might have to move to a different corner. But knowing that you might have to and being prepared makes that part pretty straightforward as well. That being said, it was still hella fun to try out, and a lot more fun than it was on heroic. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this first look. We'll cover all bosses on PTR, and proper guides will be out once the raid is released. I'm also streaming all of the raid testing on PTR, so don't forget to check that out whenever there's raid testing announced. Otherwise, I'm streaming all of our main progression once it's live on Mondays and Tuesdays. Now if you have any questions at all about this encounter, hit me up in the comments, or become a patron and get access to the Stankie Discord, where you can get help with anything raiding related. Don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.